Blessings in the peeps. Welcome back to another GT7 video, and this is definitely one of the hardest track I ever got to. So this is the Suzuka Circuit, the Suzuka Circuit time trial. Had 2 days left to do this, so ended up just going in on it. Time to beat is 1:39.5, and of course the leading time is something ridiculous, 1:36. Usually, anytime I see something like that, I just know that I won't make it, but I try. Anyway, using the McLaren VGT, going into this track and see how best I can navigate. So, of course, keeping with the game plan as usual, just set a base time to see how the track feel, how the car feel, and then from there, run against the ghost. And then try to see, yeah, you know the steps. So here we go, and immediately runs into the wall. Try it again and ran off course. Of course, went again, did it better this time, but spun out and ran off course again. So what I basically learned is that this car has a lot of power, and I have to take my time going on the throttle and take my time around the corners. But then when you take your time with these tracks, you end up losing time. So it's really finding the balance of being fast and careful. Anyway, ended up going into this corner in fourth, trying to be as careful as I possibly can, then back on throttle here, and you can see, so I'm being very careful, and it's such tricky with these cars. But anyway, going into this turn here on fourth gear, and I'm being very cautious not to slide off the track or be too hard on the vehicle, because going on throttle too hard can have it spin out, as I almost did there. Going into this corner, eased up at 100, then went into turn, then going into this turn in third gear, then back on throttle coming on the straight, going on throttle here full, then hit the brake here. I'm in third gear here, end up going down to second, coming around the corner, then back on throttle, then into this corner here, flat out. I usually go flat out on this corner, ended up easing up there and spinning out here because I was too much on the grass. I was trying to stay as far right as I possibly could, but ended up going on the grass and spinning out. But anyway, ended up going at it again and being careful on this side, going on throttle, almost spun out there, but regained control and into this part of the course. So in sixth gear, flat out, going into this turn, stopped at 100 in terms of applying brake, and then eased around this corner in fourth, then kind of coasting around on the throttle a little bit, then on full throttle going into this turn, eased up, trail brake a bit, then navigating this corner with as little throttle as I can, then coming out here, didn't downshift here, well, went down to 3, slid a bit to the left, then back on throttle, eased up, down to third, then full throttle here, going into this turn, flat out, applied the brake a bit early. I could have done it a bit later, but I was trying to be as careful as I possibly could. Back on throttle here, and into this corner in second gear this time, and back on throttle going up. You can still tell that I'm trying to be very careful going into these turns, coming out of these turns, because what has been happening so far as I traverse this course was a lot of times spinning out, a lot of times getting on the throttle too soon, sometimes getting on the throttle too late, and I was just trying to be as careful as I can and keeping in mind that I also need to be as fast as I can. So here ended up dropping down, which I never had to do, but when I tried to go around that corner at a high speed, ended up basically going off course. So coming into here, back on throttle for this, and yeah, right there at the end, mistakes were made. Anyway, made a time of 1:40:49, which is terrible because it's not even within the range of bronze. But going again, at this point I am ahead of the Ghost. Well, the Ghost isn't there, but you can look at the bottom of the screen and see that it's a negative 0.01 going. It's fluctuating as I go on and off throttle coming through these corners. So there. Into this corner here and easing up on the throttle a lot there, going into that corner, flat out here. I could have eased up a bit later there, but was hard to navigate that part for me. And anyway, ended up coming out and on full throttle here, keeping in mind that I don't want to be on the grass, but I did go as close as I could. Then coming down to third, coasting a bit around there, then back on throttle, full throttle as I enter the straight. So coming down into this straight, flat out in 6th gear, looking at the stop markers here, stopping at, well, I'm not even sure, I think it's the second to last stop marker, then stopping here at 100, going in 1st gear to slow down as I could, and then back on throttle, going up into 2nd gear, coming out of this corner. And you can see I went on throttle and eased off, so the car didn't spin out, and with that run I did, you could say 1 second faster with a 1:48.1, and so it's me attempting to go again. And here we go. Off throttle there, going through here, and then so it's so far based on times that I've done, I'm pretty much doing similar run. On throttle where I can, off throttle, but here got a bit overzealous and spun out. So decided to resign for now so that I could load the Ghost, and here we go with this run with the Ghost for the 147 loaded, and into the corner we go in 1st gear here. I learned how to exit this corner better, spun a little bit, but applying a bit more speed than I used to. There you can see that I'm ahead of the previous time, and applied brake there at 100, having the car run a bit more than I would in previous laps. And here going around this corner at the highest speed that I did in previous laps, applying brake where necessary, getting on throttle where necessary, and coming into this corner at 2nd, going, can see me halfway on throttle coming out, and fully on throttle here as we enter these, there's about 3 corners here. Applied brake and downshifted 2. I could have downshifted to 1 there, but I was trying to maintain stability of the vehicle by going into 2nd gear, or at least that's what I believe I was doing. Applying brake here, coming down to 1, and back on throttle coming out of the apex of that corner, and full throttle here, flat out coming around, coming down to 3 in this corner, and flat out as soon as I align with the straight, and maintaining flat out coming all the way down here, and easing up off the gas but dropping down to 4, coming into here and applying brake at 100, or as close to 100 as I can, coming out to 2nd, applying throttle, then back on throttle coming out of that corner, trying not to spin out as I did in previous turns, and here did a 1:45, which is 2 seconds higher. So at this point I have the bronze time, and I got a bit more confident, to be honest. Went off course there, which is a part of the confidence, because I believed I could apply more speed going into certain corners and not being as careful as I used to. But anyway, at this point, I figured it was the best time to see what the leading time or the lead car is up to. So I loaded a replay that was saved by one of the top times in the world, and this is the run that they did. So going in at 6th gear, and one of the first things that I noticed, where I would stop at 100, they stop closer to 50, but going down to 2nd gear, then up to 4th, then back on full throttle, not spinning out as I would, dropping down to 3rd, going into 4th, then down to 2nd, then up to 4th, then back on throttle, then going to 3rd, then up to 4th, then back on throttle, then down to 2nd, then up to 4th, then back on throttle, then down up to 4th after coming out of 3rd, then up to 5th. That one took me by surprise because usually it exhausts the entire exhaust the RPM. Here it drops down to 2nd, then up to 3rd, then back on full throttle, then up to 4th, 5th, then down to 2nd to 1st, then coming out you applied to 3rd on full throttle, the car not spinning out at all, which is actually amazing. Then going up to 4th, 5th, flat out here in 6th gear, then braking as close to 50, which I would have actually applied brake at 100, coming down to 2nd gear, then up to 4th on full throttle, using and exhausting track limits as best as they possibly can, coming up to 6th. I've even noticed that they are applying DRS. I didn't even know this car had it. Didn't go and brake DR downshift like I did, coming to a brake at 100 there, then in 3rd gear on throttle a bit, then full throttle in 4th gear coming out, and then full flat out here, keeping on the inside, applying DRS and doing a time of 1:36. After seeing this, after seeing this, I said to myself, I am never going to do a better time than the time that I did, and I know that because I do not possess the skill set to navigate all these gears as this driver did. I have no idea how they did it, if it's with steering or controller. More than likely it's with a steering wheel, but this takes a lot of practice and this has a lot of skills. And I just looked within myself and I said, self, this one isn't it. But anyway, I tried again. Of course, wanted to see if I could actually do something close to what was done. And coming out here in the lowest gear, but I'm ahead of the Ghost. Well, the Ghost at the time of 145. Brake a lot later than I did, as I saw with the previous replay. Then going into 4th gear, then easing up, staying in 4th, coming out to 3rd. I was trying to be as skillful as in the replay, but at this point I wasn't even sure how good I was doing, but I had a peace of mind knowing that I was ahead of the Ghost time. So I went down to 4th there and down to 3rd, then back on full throttle, coming out of that corner in 2nd, coming up to 4th, 5th, then down to 1st as I did in the replay, coming into this corner, went into 2nd, should have gone into 3rd as they did, but I was trying to be careful still, because even though they did it how they did it, sometimes when I try to mimic that, it doesn't work out for me. Not sure why, but that's just how it is. Anyway, coming down to 3rd in this corner, then dropping down to 2nd, then back to 3rd, applying throttle, almost spun out, going up to 4th, coming out of that apex into 5th, into 6th, and applying the DRS as they did, having discovered that this car has DRS, dropping down to 6th, then back on throttle, well, not drop down to 6th, I was already in 6th, coming down to brake here, dropping down to 2nd, then up to 3rd, then back on throttle, into 4th, didn't spin out there, so that worked. And as I thought I would have done, pretty much like close to the goal time, I just shaved off about 4/10 of a second. And I must say, was seeing that I concluded that definitely this isn't for me, because this wasn't the first time that I tried this, but this was the best time that I had gotten coming out of trying the gear shifting, the upshifting, and It was crazy. Anyway, at this point, I decided that 145 would have been it for me, and I pretty much never tried again. I will improve on this, but it won't be for this. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and see you in the next one.